What's going on, guys and girls? How are you doing today? It's Angry Roleplayer once again, and today I want to go through the patch notes for the content update 3.3 for part of Exile Incursion League. And I don't want to read this shit for the fucking hour like a lot of people will obviously do right now. I've just marked the most important things this I believe are really interesting, and I will let you know what are these and really in the quickest way possible. So first of all, what are the incursions once again? You gain the new NPC called Alva Valai, and she's searching for Nation Val Treasure, Temple of Exile. You encounter her as you play, and she opens the portal back in time to the temple, where the temple is being built by the architects. As you kill the monsters in the temple and upgrade the rooms and kill the mobs, you have kind of a way to have an impact on the current state of the Temple of Exile, where you actually go and in the normal current time then and loot the shit then as well. So that's it. You shall go back and go back and return, go back and return and kill shit, loot shit, kill shit, loot shit. There's also unique stuff going on in the different areas of the temple, like you can upgrade shit, you can turn them to cheaper and other items. There are many interesting things, as well as corruptions. Very interesting corruptions are gonna happen, and I really can't wait to check it out. Aside from this, we get a lot of new stuff in the upcoming patch. First of all, we get the Val Earthquake. Smashes the ground, dealing damage in an area and cracking the earth. So basically, the crack will erupt in a powerful aftershock after a delay, and your steps will deal damage around you for a duration, cracking the earth if the previous cracks erupted. That's really cool. I think that's really cool, and I really can't wait to check it out. It will not really replace the normal earthquake, of course, because for the bossing, this 21 level gem is, I think, will be still very important. But for the mapping, I think that Val Earthquake will be really interesting. Add a new intelligence, Val Blight. Now the whole thing about this gem is it now allows you to have a debuff, a strong debuff on the enemies. Not only this, but also they take increased chaos damage. I don't know why this was not really listed here, but the first version of Val Blight that I saw, it has like 15% increased chaos damage taken when you have this Val Blight active. So this is massive for any chaos damage spells, even for the fucking totems as well. So I think that this is very interesting buff. Val Blade Vortex also get the Val version, which is Val Blade Vortex now. Creates an independently moving vortex of ethereal blades which lasts for a duration. The vortex moves towards nearby enemies, repeatedly damaging enemies that it passes through. This is very interesting, but I believe that it will not be devastating as I think it could be. I think it's not really worth it at this point. I gotta check it out. There are many interesting things, like all the impurities got the Val versions, like the impurity of fire, ice, and lightning also get their Val versions. This auras reduces the fire damage taken and provides ignite immunity, and also the most important thing, makes hits against nearby enemies ignore the resistances. So basically, when you have this Val impurity on you, the hits you make against the enemies, that ignores the resistances, and basically it's just a walking Inquisitor creating. Anyone can ignore resistance from now on with the impurities, with Val impurities. I think it's actually very strong, very strong. So another new gem, Charge Trap Support. Skills have a chance to gain frenzy in power charges when your traps are triggered by an enemy. That's really strong. Also grants increased trap throwing speed per frenzy charge and added critical strike multiplier for traps. Now this is one of the most interesting things for me personally, because we never had the multiplier per trap before, and I think this will be one of the best gems to support your single target trap as well. I think this really nice. This really nice. I have high hopes for this. Another thing that I have high hopes for are these traps, which is the Flamethrower trap. It's basically the 8-second duration trap, which deals massive amount of fire damage rotating and doing burning enemies deal them more damage. Another the lightning counterpart of this is a lightning spy trap, which strikes multiple areas around for a duration dealing lightning damage and has a high critical strike chance against shocked enemies. I think that's really nice. And it modifies to cast speed, also effect of frequently strikes, and for the flamethrower how fast it rotates. So I have high hopes for this. And if you go fire trap with basically a flamethrower trap, I think this is a very solid combo, as well as some lightning trap and lightning spire trap. I think these two combos will work really strong. Another interesting trap which I believe is really cool is the Siphoning Trap, and the most interesting part about this is that it grants life and mana regeneration based on the number of debuff beams affecting enemies. That's really cool. And this trap can actually be used by non-trappers as well. I think, like, imagine you throw the trap, it starts siphoning life and mana to you, and you are like a marauder or, you know, I don't know, a raider or something. It's really powerful, and it's really nice. I think it will be used a lot. So 31 new unique items will be added, 4 of which are designed by the supporters, and 22 new divination cards, which are really cool. We saw it already. Now, another thing. New corrupted implicits, which can appear on items corrupted by Val Orbs, bringing the total of approximately 176. Now, I don't really think that it's really good, because it will be harder to get the current implicits like the +1 frenzy, +1, you know, endurance charges or whatever. The corruption on the gloves will be really hard to get different curses in them, I believe. The more you increase the amount of corruptions possible, as well as the enchantments, of course, the harder it will be to aim towards the required corruption enchantment, the higher the price will be for very desired corruptions as well. Now the feature that people have been asking for the last fucking 6 years is always attack without moving. So basically just attack in place. You can attack without moving towards the enemy. This is really strong, and this is very good. This is what people have been asking for eternity. Another thing, 39 new labyrinth enchantments for existing skills and 43 for new skills. That's holy shit how much. Okay, so this is a lot of lab enchantment, guys, and I believe that it will be much harder to get desired lab enchantments from home, because a lot of added on this. The character balance, Ignite buffed. Ignite now deals 50% of igniting hits damage per second over 4 seconds, up from 40, so 10% buff. You can have up to 15 traps acted at a time, up from 3. Now, I really hope this is not some, you know, misprint, because basically what it means, we have some kind of basic traps, active trap amount when we started playing the game. Well, like when we started, we have 3 traps, right? And as far as you can understand, now by default you have 15 traps active at a time. This is pretty ridiculous amount if you can have it from level 1. I mean, this is fucking silly. I really hope this is not a misprint, because this is fucking silly. And we also get additional traps through the jewels, additional traps through the through the skill tree as well. And I have no fucking idea how many traps you can have now. This sounds really crazy for me personally at this point. So traps, the interaction between trap skills and with cooldowns and sources of additional traps thrown, such as multiple traps, cluster trap supports, have been changed. And basically additional traps can all be thrown if the skill has at least 1 extra trap cooldown stockpile, and as only as many additional traps will be thrown as there are cooldown stockpile. In other words, if you have, like, for example, 3 seismic traps stockpile and have the Shaper additional trap glove mod, will throw 2 traps and consume 2 seismic traps cooldowns. So as far as you can understand, you're basically overriding the existing traps, and traps share the same cooldowns as it was before, but you can override existing traps if you have, like, for example, cooldown on some trap, and on another trap you have 3, and on one trap you have like 10 and no cooldown. You will override the cooldown and exhaust the cooldown and the charges of the limited charge trap, like for example the flamethrower trap can free, and if you have fire trap and the flamethrower trap, so you better drop this flamethrower traps first and then start throwing fire traps on top of it, and not on the contrary, because your normal traps, fire traps, will override the charges on your flamethrower trap as far as I can understand, guys. So no longer has the fire trap has no cooldown now. It's very good, and the damage got up much. It's much stronger now. The bear trap, enemies take 15% increased damage from traps and mines, so it's a massive debuff trap now, as well as have 80% less movement speed. I've seen Ziggy D throwing this trap on a Phoenix, and it was slowed down so fucking much. It actually is a very strong debuff. It has more cooldown now, but I believe it still be very, very powerful. Even if you drop it just one to debuff the boss, I think it's for the bosses it will be very, very powerful. So lightning trap also has no cooldown now, and the basic, the lower end of the damage has been buffed as well greatly. Look at this, 279 up from 52. So yeah, it was shit damage mostly. The damage on the lightning trap and the fire trap and the most traps got buffed as well. Ice trap got a weird nerf though, which is pretty strange. I mean, it's the most powerful trap out of all, right? It was actually pretty powerful, but now it took a fucking hit, even though it has no cooldown now. But the fucking damage got lower, so I seriously doubt people will be using this. Another thing. Infernal Blow grants an additional melee range as it levels up to +3 at gem level 20. So Infernal Blow got a melee range, guys, now. Incinerate, greatly fucking buffed. Now deals area of effect damage in a cone in front of the caster while channeling, dealing 25% more damage with hits and elements for each stage. The angle of the cone increases by up to 300 while channeling, right? So it's a massive growing cone of fire shit. When the channeling ends, a final wave is unleashed, dealing 500 more damage with hits and ignite. Holy fucking shit. So Incinerate, Jesus motherfucking Christ, this is crazy. Okay, Ground Slam. That's another interesting thing. Ground Slam deals up to 40% more damage to close the targets at gem at level 1, up to 49 at level 20. I think it should be more actually. Like 69 at least. I mean 9% for 20 fucking levels. Are you fucking kidding me? Why is it so low? And now it has a significantly wider area effect. This is good. So Ground Slam basically is like an earthquake, right? Without aftershock. That's about it. Cold Snap got a fucking buff as well, and it's pretty interesting. So that's about Cold Snap now has a buff. Another thing, Lacerate. Lacerate Exile got a weird nerf. So the damage like twice less now, but it got area of effect. It's massive area of effect now. It's like the Reeve now, I guess. And now has 25 chance to cause bleeding on hit, as well as 25% more damage with hits and elements against bleeding enemies. So it's like bleeding Reeve, as far as I can understand, and no longer has less attack speed, so it's fast, it's cause bleeding and more damage with hits against bleeding enemies. So it's bleeding, you know, it's very good for the gladiators, for anything melee. I think it's very, very strong. Now to the most interesting part for me personally. Arc has been greatly increased. And the base damage got buffed as well, but this is the most important thing. Now deals 15% more damage for each remaining chain, and the chains has also changed. Chains 4 times at level 1. This was 2 actually previously. It was 2 chains at level 1, up to 7 times at level 20. So this was on chains. So basically, for a single target, that means. For the single target, it means 90% more damage for single target, guys. That's fucking crazy. Absolutely. Fucking crazy. As far as I can understand in my calculations are correct, 90% more to single attack. That's actually very good. And for the build that I developed in the Harbinger, this is very, very strong. And not only this, but can now split an extra enemy whenever it chains. That's fucking crazy. Crazy. I think that's very strong now. Very strong. So Earthquake got a buff. This is extremely happy about this because I just released my Earthquake updated build for the Juggernaut, the very, very old build, and it's now incredibly strong. And look at this, the delay between the attack and aftershock is now 1 second, basically down from 1.5, so we can stack more attack speed now without losing this aftershocks. This is very, very strong. And Aftershock now deals more damage at the gem levels, dealing 69 more damage at level 20, up from 50. So 20% more damage at 20. That's very strong. Very good, guys. I think it will kind of be make Earthquake a little better because Aftershocks will happen faster and dealing more damage. It's very good for the damage. Flame Surge, fucking huge buff. Deals even more damage with against burning enemies as the gems level up to 80% more, up from 50, and the damage effectiveness has been increased as well. Now Frost Bomb, look at this. Frost Bomb got me really interested. Frost Bomb damage was literally doubled. Like, this is one of the biggest damaging cold skills now in the game. Look at this, and the damage effectiveness is ridiculous. It lasts for 5 seconds though, so there's a huge, kind of a huge delay before it explodes. It was 3.5 previously, but now it gets more cold resistance debuff is a giant amount of damage. I mean, that's pretty crazy damage here, right here. So okay, Flame Blast deals 80% or 90% more damage with elements, which stays up from 50. So Flame Blast is good now, better than before. Magma Orb, the speed at which the projectile bounces has been significantly increased. Like it was slow really before. Okay, I mean the chaining, the Gloomfang builds with the Magma Orb will hopefully be viable even more now. That's pretty nice. Blade Vortex, now this is one of the most interesting part for me personally, as I created the Inquisitor Blade Vortex in the previous Abyss League and level to 94 with this, and I believe this is incredibly strong as well. So Blade Vortex now has 35% increased hit rate for each blade, up from 10, that's very good, so more healing. Now deals 35% more damage with hits and elements for each blade, up from 30, nice. 10% increased crit strike chance for each blade, nice. So 100% increase for 10 blades, very nice. And now has a limit of 10 active spinning blades, down from 20. Now this thing over here basically removes the necessity to use Spell Echo, only because we can use another gem in our Blade Vortex setup. This is incredibly good, and this buffs the damage even further, and with the Wall Clarity you basically run for shit like it's nothing with 10 blades up all the time. I think this is very, very strong buff. Freezing Pulse, another interesting thing, it got a buff. The damage now drops at 50% at maximum distance, up from 0, so basically it just literally did nothing at the maximum distance, and now it drops to 50%. It drops from 50%, it's very good. Another cool and not so cool thing is Val Skill Changes. So basically, one of the most important changes in the upcoming expansion of Val Skills gems now also grant the base version of the skill at the same level and quality as the Val gem. For example, a Val Burning Arrow skill now gems, the Val Burning Arrow and the Burning Arrow skill. So basically, this is viable for any skill like Blade Vortex. Val Blade Vortex will give you Blade Vortex. While Rider's Fire will grant you Rider's Fire. The only problem with this is you cannot have level 21 Val skill gems, and while for mapping it's not really a big problem, and for some gems like the Rider's Fire it's not that important, which is really cool, but for many gems that have kind of a range of damage increasing with 21 plus, this can be the case for the single target. For the very top end game, 21 from 20 gem can be a significant difference, especially if you empower it even further. So I believe that while it's really cool, I don't think it will be extremely life changing for the most part of the game. And another thing is using a Val skill now prevents you from gaining souls for all Val skills for a short period of time after the skill is used. The duration of this effect varies from skill to skill. Now this dramatically destroys all chain valing, builds like the Val Fireball shit, Val Power Siphon, which the cute duck really loved, I guess, in the past. So basically this is a nerf. You can't really chain gain souls to your Val skills from now on, and you can chain kill shit with some Val, Spectral Throw, with Val Siphon, Val Fireball. You can't just chain kill shit. You will still have to use your normal skill to gain souls back. But the coolest thing is this: damaging rare enemies now generates 1 Val soul per 2 life it loses with 1 second cooldown, and a unique enemy generates 3 Val souls. So basically this is incredibly strong buff, and this allows you to gain Val souls during the boss encounters and during the mapping faster. I think this is very, very strong and can potentially help you in bossing even, but it's really hard to tell from now on just how much people will be using these Val versions of the skills. Now there's many Val skills reworks here, which basically are huge buffs, but they all got the durations of them are different kinds. Like for example, let me check the Val Power Siphon. Yeah, so basically the requirements of souls have been different. Some have now less souls for you, some have more, like for example Lightning Trap at 20, but basically all Val skills now prevent you from gaining Val souls for some different time. Like for example Power Siphon 4 seconds, Storm Call 6 seconds, Flame Blast 6 seconds. So you cannot chain gain and chain kill monsters from now on. Val Rider's Fire, that's very interesting. Previously removed all your energy shield and life, but all 1 life sim instantaneously, dealing fire damage to all nearby enemies based on the amount of life and energy shield lost. Now removes 30% of your life and creates a Rider's Fire aura around you, which burns enemies within its radius based on the amount of life and energy shield lost for 4 seconds. It's really cool. And basically it now deals 161 of life as burning damage per second, which is really nice. It grants now more spell damage while active, up to 39 more spell damage at level 20. This is multiplicative with Rider's Fire's more spell damage effect, and gains more burning damage with quality. This is incredibly powerful, I think. Even though it has like 40 souls per use and you cannot use it for 10 seconds after the first use, but I think it's incredibly good now, and I will actually check this one out, and I think it might be useful. Now there's a lot of Val gems we have been reworked mostly for the souls per use and a different kind of delays where you can get charges. Let's go to the trap support here, guys. So trap support no longer grants supported skills more trap damage, which is pretty bad in general, because you can spam skills from now on, but at the same time it has no cooldown now. Yeah, it has no cooldown, but it doesn't grant more damage, which is pretty shit in my opinion. I think it should be stayed like it was before, but just remove the cooldown. So I think it's kind of a nerf and a buff at the same time. At the same time, I believe you will still not be able to detonate, to throw traps with the same speed as you detonate mines, because mines will still be faster, I think. But let's take further. So trap cooldown support, advanced tech support, has been renamed to advanced trap support. Now grants supported trap skill 50% increased cooldown at gem level 1, down from 30. Up to 25, down from 49. This is pretty shit, to be honest. But ground support trap skills, 10% increased duration, up to 29. Nice. So basically this is for single target fat fucking traps, which is like flamethrower or lightning spire shit. This is for them entirely. I don't see this for the normal traps at all. Trap and mine damage got a buff though. It's 30% up from 20 and 49 from, yeah, it's 10% buff straight. And other cool buffs are this. Endurance charge and melee stance support now causes supporter skills to deal 4 more damage per endurance charge, up from 3. That's pretty cool. Chance to ignite as well. Lowers the resistance up to around 90% at gem level 20, and is renamed to combustion support. Very cool as well. Hypothermia increases cold damage. Basically, enemies take 20% more cold damage over time at level 1 up to 39. That's very strong as well. Okay, now supports damage over time, so you can pair it with some Vortex or Cold Snap, which is really nice as well. Power charges now causes support skill to deal 4% more damage per power charge. This is really nice, guys. This is basically a buff, and it's huge, I think. And this is the reason why we should start using power charges once again, because they were nerfed. You know, the crit chance were nerfed several patches ago, but now that we get more damage, just like on Frenzies, I think it's additional level of firepower which cannot be ignored. Another interesting thing that I noticed is the deadly ailment support rework. Now causes supporter skill to deal 45% more damage with ailments, up from 40, and basically this now causes supporter skills to deal 10% less damage with hits, down from 20. So it's just a slight buff as well. Another thing, the passive trap balance. Here we go, we're almost done. To better enable trap builds from level 1, the Shadow starting area has received numerous changes. The first 2 passives of the Shadow's top starting path now both grant increased damage rather than increased elemental damage. That's really good. So increased damage now, right? The far side of the trap and mine wheel near the Shadow has a new notable devastating devices. 50% increased critical strike chance with traps and mines, really nice. 40% increased trap trigger area effect and 40% mine detonation area effect. It's really nice. The passive skills on either side of devastation devices have been completely changed. One grants 50% to trap and mines critical strike multiply, which is really good. The other one grants 20% increased critical strike chance with traps and mines. Really nice. Another interesting buffs are to the penetration, guys. Basically, all the nodes would grant a 3% penetration now grants 6% penetration. Like for example, the Heart of Flame now grants 6% fire res pen, and the passives leading to them also grant 57% increased fire damage, which is up from 46. Basically, all the elemental nodes have been buffed as well as penetration on the tree. The Ascendancy balance is also really nice. Each of the Saboteur's passives, which previously granted increased elemental damage, now grants increased trap and mine damage. Oh my god, finally they did it. Each of the Saboteur's small passives, which previously granted increased mine length speed, now grants 5% mine length speed. So the mine length speed has actually been nerfed, as well as increased cooldown recovery speed for throwing traps has also been nerfed. But you get a buff on with the gem as well, and as well as a lot of traps have no cooldowns now. So in general, I think that balanced the shit out. Although I kind of do not like this nerfs, because I think this was not really necessary. I mean, you gave us the no cooldown traps, but at the same time you nerfed the cooldowns for all the other traps, like the single target traps and the traps they still have fucking cooldown. Another interesting nerf is to this. The Merciless and Eternal Labyrinth arc enchantments that grant additional chains now grant +1 to chain from the Mercy and +2 chains through the Eternal Lab, down from 3. Okay, so +3 arc enchantments now are incredibly expensive, I believe, from now on. And the same shit is for the Bear Trap. Basically, the Merciless and Eternal Lab Bear Trap enchantment that grant increased cooldown recovery speed now it grant half as much. So do not do not Blast Orb your Bear Trap enchantment, guys. Okay. Another interesting, this is the area of effects are now also +4 instead of +6 and +6 instead of +9. So it's pretty fucking nerf, guys. Fucking nerf to the area of effects, and fucking nerf to arc chains, and fucking nerf to Bear Trap durations. Pretty shit. Another interesting thing that I discovered at this, the Writhing Jar worms spawned from the Writhing Jar are now destroyed when hit. This overrides effects which would otherwise prevent them from dying. such as the one found on the unique glove southbound. So say goodbye to the fucking Worm Blaster once again. And this is the most devastating nerf for me personally. Dyados no longer has the mode enemies chilled by you take 100% increased burning damage. Dyados now has 100% increased damage with ignites inflicted on chilled enemies. That's a fucking huge nerf, and especially fun because and hilarious because right now I'm building the Dyados Pathfinder Riders 5 build, and basically this is a fucking giant nerf, guys. It's fucking giant nerf to my build. I have no fucking idea what I will do from now on. And another thing is this: Primordial Harmony now grants you golems 30 to 45% increased cooldown recovery speed to compensate for a bug that was fixed. Existing versions of the jewel can be updated with Divine. So really, we are gonna fucking buy trillion of Divines now? You must be fucking kidding me. It's quite an investment, especially we have 7 of them. It's fucking bullshit, guys. I would just rebuy this. That's pretty crap. Another interesting thing is monster balance, and this is it. The Elder now drops all of its loot, including the Watcher's Eye, at the very end of the encounter. That's very good because you had to wait for the shit to pop, and like 5-10 seconds before she dropped all the shit. Another interesting thing, and this thing will devastate the Elder Ring. Once you have completed 20 maps while the Elder and his Guardians are on your atlas without actually defeating any of them, there is a chance for the Elder and his Guardians to disappear and remove the Elder influence from the maps they were on. This will make it difficult to maintain an Elder Ring, but will also allow players who were not capable of defeating the Elder and his Guardians to clear them from the atlas. That's very, very good, because I personally hated the Elder Ring shit and never made it, and people farming Elder infinitely, which basically was complete bullshit in my opinion. Cheaper memories fragments from 11 to 15 no longer require you to defeat the Elder and its Guardians in specific map tiers. Instead, defeating each Guardian and the Elder within any red tier map will get you one of these fragments. This is a giant fucking buff because I personally never got the fragments from 15 to the 13. The last 3 I never got them because the fucking Elder never spawned on the Guardian maps for me. You can no longer get cheaper memory fragments 11 through 15 from a map if you are not the map's owner. This is another giant buff, I think, to the solo self-found experience and to solo players, because previously you can jump into the map of your friend and basically he had the map there, which is Elder control and Guardian control. You defeat it and get the fucking orb. He can carry you through the fucking orbs. Now it's impossible, guys. You should do it yourself. That's about it. So Piranha's Manor is back, connected to the Shadow. The mods that we'll have in the 3.3 are Beyond, Out of Interesting, and Bridge is back as well. There's also interesting things to the golems in Primordial Hammerlands, like I mentioned previously. There was a bug where stats added to a skill by skill-specific mods would be copied to minions created by the skill. I don't fucking get it, what it is. This caused a variety of unintended effects, the most notable of which was the cooldown modifier to golem skills found on the unique jewel Primordial Harmony. In addition to its regular effect, the cooldown modifier was carried through to the golem's cooldown skills, lowering this cooldown as well. So basically, I think the cooldown modifier to the golem skills just transition to the cooldown of the actual skills that golem use, thus kind of editing to the giant cooldown. Basically, what this does, guys, let me scroll it back. What this does is you just get increased cooldown with Divine. Basically the cooldown for the golem skills, like to spawn golem, are now different. It doesn't affect the cooldown of the skills of the actual golems, but the skills of actual golems actually has to be Divine now. It's basically increased and they're kind of separated now. That's the deal, I figured it out. So basically this is it, guys, and so far these are the most important things that I personally selected for me, and maybe you have other expectations, but for now I'm really hyped about trap changes. Trap changes are one of the most massive in this whole patch in the Incursion League. Also pretty hyped to the other changes like the Blade Vortex, the Arc, and the Earthquake, which got a buff. There's also massive amount of changes to the Ignite and Burning damage, and overall the fire skills got dramatic amount of rework. I'm also quite happy how Val skills were reworked as well, gaining this new Val skill gems, as well as the fix for the Val skills, so you cannot really chain kill shit to gain infinite amount of Val souls, and different Val skill gem, they cannot gain skills if you kill with one skill, it's Val skill gem. The other one cannot gain skills, Val souls for this time, so you cannot gain souls for the second gem while you're killing with the first gem. So basically it's a buff and a nerf at the same time, but I'm quite happy with how it turned out. All the other gems mostly were buffed, there were very few nerfs as well, so I'm really happy with how it turns out, and I really can't wait to take my crack on the Incursion League, guys. Thanks for watching and see you soon.